Hello, online crew. How is everybody today? We are continuing the conversation today on the do's and don'ts of using hashtags on Facebook. Now, if you watched my live yesterday, you would have heard that Facebook has made a massive change and is now promoting and encouraging us to use hashtags on Facebook. But what we want to make sure of with your understanding is that those of you that are familiar with Instagram, that you don't necessarily follow the exact same strategies as you do with Instagram to Facebook. So just some things that you need to be aware of. And there will be a number of you that don't know how to use hashtags at all because you're not an Instagram user or barely an Instagram user. So you might need a little bit of guidance around that. So for this video here, I'm going into a little bit more depth than I did yesterday. So if you're watching today's live and you haven't watched yesterday's live, then perhaps stop this video, go back to yesterday, listen to that, which will just be further down the newsfeed here, and then come back to this one and get the extra tips that I'm sharing with you today. Okay, now those of you in my online crew coaching community, I am going to go live in that group straight after this live to give you guys even more tips and strategies as to how to use hashtags on Facebook, and I'll share my screen with you and go a little bit more in depth. I'm going to share my screen here today just to show you a couple of basics. I can't, I guess, assume that you all have knowledge around this, so I'm just going to keep it really basic in this live, but also share my screen to point out some differences between how hashtags are used on Instagram and how hashtags are used on Facebook, because it is a different strategy. So we'll do that. Now, for those of you that haven't met me before, my name is Helen Martin. I'm your online crew captain. So I am here at service to this amazing online crew community that we have here of entrepreneurs and home-based business owners, direct sellers, you know, those in network marketing. And what we do here is learn how to leverage social media and use modern online strategies to grow our businesses. So none of us want to convince anybody to buy anything off us. We don't want to chase people, you know, to join us in our business. We truly want to attract people to us online. So that's what we talk about here. And we do have the most amazing sort of crew here, do we not, guys? So I'll say hello to some people in a second. I just want to say awesome, 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 awesome job, and congratulations to those of you that are watching or on the replay that have just completed our most recent 14-day online crew video challenge. So amazing. It's always exciting, you know, to finish a video challenge and see the growth that people have had in such a short space of time. If anybody is listening here that you're avoiding live video, or you were doing them and you've fallen off the wagon, need to get back on that wagon, because it's one of the most powerful things that you can do for your business. I'll have more about that next week. I'll be announcing the top 15 of this round that's just finished next week. So that'll either be Monday night or Tuesday morning when you normally turn up and watch me live. I will announce the top 15. I'll announce the dates of the next challenge for those of you that are wondering, and all of that stuff. So congratulations to those of you that have just completed the video challenge. And yeah, just again, those of you in my coaching community, you might want to jump on the live. It'll be recorded, so you can catch the recording, but you might want to catch the live straight after I finish here. I will jump in the coaching community group to talk more about this topic. I've got 10 more tips for you than what I'm sharing here, and to give you the details of the next boot camp. Okay, so who is here with us today? We've got Gloria. How are you? Crystal is here. We've got Faye, Beth, Patricia, we've got Michelle on, we've got Edith. Great to see all you guys all on. We've got Cindy, Sharon, lovely to see you here, Susan, Heather, Emma, Michael, you guys are awesome. Hope everyone is doing okay today. From Michael, happy hump day. Correct. We're a little bit past hump day in my part of the world, but yeah, it's either Wednesday or Thursday, wherever you're watching from. Hey, Steph, how are you? I always forget the emojis. That's okay. Who's got all the emojis going on so I can explain that? So Olive does. So we've got the palm tree is the emoji for our community here. The fish is for those of you watching in my free group. So I'm broadcasting in 2 different spots, which is my business page and my free group. So anybody is welcome into our free group, which is called Social Media Strategies for Home Business Owners. And if you're in that group, you can use the little fish. The cruise ship is for those of you in my coaching community, and the anchor is for those of you that are life members of my coaching community. And if I've got one of the VIPs on, that's the wave as well. Hello, Donna, how are you? Yes, I love our online crew community here. Hello, Tina. Great to see you on. We certainly do have the most amazing crew. That we do, Michelle. I made a confession in my live today for video challenge. Oh, that sounds interesting, Crystal. I'll have to go back and watch. Hi, amazing crew. Congrats to all the video challenges. Absolutely. And absolutely, Crystal, couldn't agree more. Congratulations to everybody. Hi, everyone. Off to the dentist after this. I know what that feels like. So good luck to you. I hope it's minimal pain for you there, Rick. And there's one of our waves, one of our VIPs. Hello, Heather. Thank you for adding that in. So welcome to today's live. Awesome to have as many people live as possible. And, of course, to those of you guys on the replay where the time does not work out. So do's and don'ts of hashtags. So I'll just recap some stuff that I said yesterday, and then I'll just go into a little bit more detail for you guys. So just to highlight, this is it's interesting how people have used hashtags in the past, and some people have been quite ignorant to the fact that up until now, Facebook has not liked hashtags. It's not been a good thing to use. If you have used them on Facebook, 1 or 2 would be the maximum that you would want to use, because it actually limits your organic reach up until now. So we want to flip that now. We want to change your activity. You want to embrace hashtags. You want to, and I'll give you some strategy around how many and what and all that kind of stuff in a minute. And for those of you in the coaching community, we'll go a bit deeper into that shortly as well. But it's just important for those of you that are also used to hashtags that you know the difference between how you use them on Instagram and Facebook. And for those of you that have no knowledge of hashtags at all, what do you do? Okay, and how many and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so just to recap, you want everything public for it to be seen, discoverable, all that kind of stuff. So again, go back to my live from yesterday if you missed it regarding that, regarding what you need to have public, especially if you're one of these people that's still friends only on Facebook. It's not going to help you a lot as far as, searchability and discoverability of your content through hashtags if you're still friends only. Okay, so go back to yesterday's live and just check in with that. So those of you that have very little awareness around hashtags, the way we use them is obviously people call it different things, but the number sign or the pound sign, the 2 lines that way and 2 lines that way. Does that make sense? Whichever way you describe it. And then you write your words. Obviously, no spaces. So for those of you that have no knowledge how to use hashtags, even if you're writing something like health and wellness or live the life of your dreams or anything like that, you can't have any spaces in them, otherwise they won't work. You can have numbers in some hashtags, but you can't have like characters as such. They won't work. So just very simply, it's just that symbol, like the hashtag symbol plus, the words. It's obviously mainly lowercase on Instagram, but Facebook, if you want to have a capital H for health and a capital W for wellness, like the jury's out with that kind of thing if it makes any difference whether there's uppercase or lowercase. So don't worry about too much about that sort of on Facebook. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen with you and show you a major difference between Facebook and Instagram regarding hashtags. And if you don't have an Instagram account, but you want to start using hashtags on Facebook, if you want to do any kind of research, which I do recommend that you do on hashtags, it might pay for you to open an Instagram account, even if you don't use it initially much. But if you want to sort of do some research on hashtags, Instagram is still going to be your best bet for that, to find certain numbers and things that relate to hashtags and relatable hashtags, because we can't do that on Facebook. So just a bit of a heads up, even if you're not an Instagram user, if you want to start embracing hashtags on Facebook, you might want to open an Instagram account, even if you don't use it, but just for the searchability and discoverability of hashtags in general. Because on Instagram, it's going to give you numbers and information that we're not going to get from Facebook. Okay, so I will share my screen and show you what I mean. I just want to make sure I can pull up my live here so I can see my screen when I do that. That is me. Okay, just so I can check on the screen there. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to Facebook first. Okay, let me just check that that worked. Let's have a little look-see. Okay, so we're in Facebook. I'm just in the general sort of news feed. If I'm just coming to, type something in. So I'm going to come up to the search bar here, and I'm just going to put in, so the hashtag, and I'm just going to use health and wellness as an example. Okay, so I'm just going to press enter, which is going to trigger it to search. So I do this, and this is what it's going to look like on Facebook. So we have the hashtag, we have the name, and it just says explore underneath it. So let me show you the difference to how that is on Instagram. So if I switch, and I've already got this up on Instagram. So if I use the search bar on Instagram to put in health and wellness, can you see that it gives me the number of posts that comes up under that hashtag, and I can follow that hashtag on Instagram, and I've got related hashtags underneath it. So I get a lot of information from Instagram regarding hashtags just by searching one on Instagram. Now, if we come back to Facebook, you're not going to get any of that. So just be aware, for those of you that are regular Instagram users, you're not going to get the same data and information from Facebook hashtags when you put it in the search bar as you would on Instagram. So this is where I say, even if you're not an Instagram user, if you want to research some hashtags to see how many posts are in them, how big or small they are, you still might want to come in here and just use Instagram for the search function. So what's another one that I could put in? Let's just put online business, okay? So again, when I do that, there's all sorts of ones that come up for me. It tells me how many posts. I can follow that hashtag if I want to, and I get all these related hashtags that I can use for ideas on my posts that are related. And I can go and click on these posts and have a look at what people are doing in this area. So even though Facebook is embracing hashtags and we've got this ability to use them, you don't get any of this on Facebook. So if you are looking at different hashtags to use, different relatable hashtags to use on Facebook, you still might choose to come and just use this search feature within Instagram to do this, because this is all you're going to get when you come to Facebook and search a hashtag. You're just going to get the, the posts that come up, with health and wellness tagged. So you can't follow it from here. You can't, you can't do anything with it. You're not going to get any other relatable hashtags to this, because this is all Facebook is going to give us. Okay, so that's important for those of you that are Instagram users and you think you can use it in the same way. You can't. Okay, so as far as research goes, you still might want to, or even as I said, if you don't use Instagram, you still might want to use it as, the search type feature to find relatable hashtags. Okay. Now, those of you doing Facebook Lives, I would encourage you to put hashtags in the description, or what we call Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Instagram, there's a term, and this comes back from old media days of reading a newspaper. Do you remember those things, guys? They still exist now, but a newspaper, but big newspapers, where there was something above the fold. And then there's stuff below the fold, which people see secondary. So the stuff that's above the fold is eye-catching, is going to draw somebody into your content. It's the stuff that you really want people to see. And then the stuff below the fold is not as important. So on Instagram, a typical way that people put their posts is they'll put, characters or something spacing in between their wording and their hashtags to create the above the fold and the below the fold. I would still recommend you do that on Facebook. So don't clutter up the beginning of your wording in the description of a Facebook Live or a really cool post with hashtags. So still have wording like you would normally have it, unless it blends in with the wording of what you're saying. So you could say something like, if you want to improve your health and fitness, and you could put a hashtag in there as part of the sentence. So you can do it that way if you want to. If you've got a whole heap of hashtags though, you'll write what you would normally write, and you'll put some spaces. So the hashtags appear at the bottom, what we call below the fold. So when people are looking at your post or putting it your Facebook Live in the description, they're not looking at just a whole lot of hashtags. Is that really quite clear to you guys that are not familiar with how to use hashtags? I know that you guys that use Instagram will know exactly what I mean, but those of you that don't, do you understand that concept of above the fold and below the fold? So we just want a bit of a gap and a bit of a space. You may have seen that in posts before, even on Facebook. People that cross-promote from Instagram to Facebook, you may have seen that, like they have little dots and then they have their hashtags sort of underneath. So that's still a strategy we do want to carry over on Facebook. Don't bulk up your descriptions or your posts with a whole lot of hashtags above the fold. Still keep them sort of a little bit separate, if that makes sense. So, I mean, hashtags are not the prettiest things to look at, and they don't really contribute to sentences necessarily. So it might be, 5 or 10 different words with hashtags. So it doesn't really create any more quality value to your post by sitting in the above the fold. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay. What else did I have for you? Now, a strategy that people should be using on Instagram, and I would recommend that you bring this over to Facebook as well, is we need to think about the number that you're going to use and the quality of the ones that you choose. So for you to know the quality or the size of some of the hashtags that you are using, that's when you might want to go back to Instagram to do a little bit of research as to how big or small, those hashtags to relate. Because what's a really good strategy regarding hashtags is to have a few of them, but have one that's quite large, like a lot of posts in it. It's a really popular one. So it might be in the multiple millions. Then have one middle-sized. Now that might be in, maybe the hundreds of thousands or the tens of thousands. And then you may have a smaller one that's more niched down, and that might be more representative in the smaller thousands. So you don't want all your hashtags to be in the multiple millions, because they're not going to stand out anywhere. They're just going to get lost. But if you have a variety of some hashtags that are, got millions of posts, hundreds of thousands of posts, and more niched down, like the thousands of posts, you're going to give yourself a better cross-section of maybe your post being found. So the only way you're going to know that is if you go and search how big a hashtag is over on Instagram, because you're not going to get that from Facebook. So you could be using a lot of hashtags that are huge. You've never really done any research on how big they are. And so it's really not doing you many favors as far as discoverability goes, because they're in the multiple millions, like really broad ones, like just health. Even how big was health and wellness, if I go back to that one? So 5.4, oh no, that was online business. I changed it. So I can't remember. Do you remember, guys, the number that I had, health and wellness? I'm sure it was in the multiple sort of millions. So it does pay to have a bit of strategy around using hashtags and have a variety of the ones that you use. So you might go and research one on Instagram and it gives you related hashtags. There are also plenty of apps, guys. I'll share one with you in the coaching community after, where you can just plug in a name and it'll give you a multitude of options regarding hashtags, and then you can go and search them sort of for the size. So you want to play around with that. You want to just be aware of the fact that if you use hashtags that are in the multiple millions, what are the chances of your content coming up? Seriously. So the smaller they are, but you don't want to niche down too much necessarily, because people might not be looking for that hashtag. So you want to test and evaluate different size hashtags with different, different numbers of posts in them. So there is a lot of sort of testing, but just have a level of awareness around that, because hashtags won't do you any favor if every single hashtag you use is in the multiple millions. It's just, your content's not going to be found. Okay. So good question. And I think, Gloria, you asked this one as well, is whether you should use hashtags in ads. So it's like, okay, we can use hashtags on Facebook now. Should we use them in Facebook ads? Now, just think about the concept of a Facebook ad and what you want people to do. And just remember that, hashtags are clickable. They are, they will take somebody off into, a different area looking at a whole lot of different content. So it's essentially going to take somebody away from what you want them to do. So I can't say right or wrong necessarily, or good or bad right now, because this is new to Facebook. We've had hashtags on Facebook for 7 years. It's just that they didn't particularly like them and reduced our organic reach. Now we've got this massive flip, but it doesn't mean that it's going to increase your organic reach of a paid ad by any means. And it could actually detract from what the action is that you're trying to get somebody to do on an ad. So my personal opinion on that is I don't think there's really a place for hashtags on ads, but we don't know yet. So it could be something that catches on. It could be something that people start using. I'm a little bit wary of it, because what's the purpose of it? When you do an ad, there is a specific intention that you want and a specific action that you want people to take, and you don't want people to get distracted from that. You don't want people to suddenly look at a hashtag and go, oh, go off and have a look at that or search that, and then they're gone, distracted by something else from what you wanted them to do from the ad. So not quite sure, but at the moment, the feeling is probably not quite a good thing for Facebook ads, okay? Now, another thing that's very Instagram orientated, but not recommended for Facebook, is those of you that are familiar with Instagram, people put a few hashtags up the top in their comment, and then they'll put a bulk, some bulk hashtags in the first comment of their Instagram post. Don't do that on Facebook, guys. It's not going to work the same way. It doesn't carry across with shared posts. So when you share a post from Facebook, not everything carries over with it. So it's going to be lost anyway. There's not really any purpose to using the same strategy on Instagram, where you put a whole lot of hashtags in the comments section, to doing that on Facebook. So I would not recommend that you use that Instagram strategy on Facebook for hashtags. Just use what you want to use up the top in your description of whatever it is that you're posting, but just have spacing so it's below the fold. You don't want everybody's eyeballs to be, bombarded by a whole lot of hashtags above the fold. Now, how many should we use? So those of you that are familiar with Instagram, there's a maximum of 30 that you can use, but even if you can use that many, there are many gurus that advise many different things. So some will say, although you can use the maximum, don't. I've read studies that have said 11 is the magic number. Some people say use between 5 and 10. So that's Instagram. So over on Facebook, we're not limited to anything with our characters. We can actually have, I think it's over 63,000 characters that you can have in a Facebook post. So if any of you have ever got to that extent, I'd be very surprised. But we don't have a limit of what so you could have a massive long post and have millions of hashtags at the bottom of it, but obviously that wouldn't be a benefit to you. My advice to you regarding hashtags on Facebook, if you've never done it before, start with a few. Do a little bit of research and be really intentional regarding what's going to be relatable to your audience and what you're trying to get across to people. So have some strategy around what you're using. Don't just use really general ones like, I'd recommend you stay away from ones like live life on your terms, love life, life's good, really, really broad, massive hashtags. Like, be a little bit more strategic and intentional as to what you use, and test different ones over about a 7-day period is what I would recommend that you start with on Facebook. So maybe try 3 to start with on Facebook. Then the following week, you might try 5. Then the following week, you might try 7 to 10. Then the following week, you might try 15 to 20. And monitor that over a 7-day period with your reach. So the reason why we want you to utilize hashtags on Facebook, because now Facebook are telling us, if you embrace this, we will increase your organic reach. So we want you to embrace this strategy. Anything that can help your organic reach is a good thing. And the fact that it's new, we want you guys to do this now. We want you guys to learn this now and embrace it now. But you don't necessarily want to go from nothing to 30 hashtags. It's going to look strange to your audience. It's not necessarily something that you've got a level of skill around regarding researching hashtags, size of hashtags. So start smaller. If you're a big Instagram user and you've already got some knowledge around this, then you could maybe speed up that process. But you want to monitor your organic reach with the number of hashtags and see if it makes a difference or not. Only you will know that. If you still got crap content, hashtags aren't going to help you. So there's, that's to consider in the mix. Obviously, your branding message, your content and all that kind of stuff. Hashtags aren't going to miraculously make your organic reach go through the roof if no one's engaging with your content anyway. So you do need to look in the mirror, with your organic reach if it's not very good. But this supposedly is going to help us increase our organic reach, but the only way you're going to know what the magic number is for you and what kind of hashtags to use is to test them. So my recommendation is to pick a number, test them over 7 days, and keep some kind of spreadsheet or notes or something and monitor your organic reach. Now, for those of you that are unaware, obviously you can't do that on a personal profile. It's only business pages that you can monitor organic reach. Every post that is on your business page has a little number underneath it that says reach. So you want to look at that number. You want to monitor that number. The following week, when you use a different number of hashtags, you want to monitor that number again. Test for yourself and evaluate with your audience, with your content, what may be giving you more organic reach than not. But you're not really going to know unless you test this. But try not to do it blindly in relation to you just throw 15 hashtags up and they're all huge, general, love life type hashtags. It's not really, I doubt that that's going to increase your organic reach. So it is something that you will need to test and evaluate over time. But I would say if you've never done it before, start smaller and then increase and see what happens and test and evaluate it for yourself. Okay. What else did I have for you? I've got my notes mixed up here. Okay. So we want to add hashtags to everything, your posts, your Facebook lives, but have a space between what you would normally write and your hashtags so they are below the fold. So start with a few, maybe 3, put a bit of thought and intention behind the hashtags that you're using. So if you are in health and wellness, you might start with hashtag health and wellness, but we've already looked on Instagram, the size of that one. So Instagram can tell me the size of it and the related ones. So you might do a little bit of research to see what other ones you can use, throw a few in there. And if you can have a larger one, middle-sized one, and a small one, That's where I would recommend that you start. Okay, so those of you that have got no knowledge of hashtags, are you following along with what I'm recommending so far? Okay, just want to know that you're just following a little bit. Those in the coaching community, if you've got questions, hop in after and we'll look after you over there. So other strategies around it, because this is new, find influencers in your niche. So if you're in health and wellness, if you're in finance, if you're in online marketing, social media, digital marketing, whatever, find influencers either on Facebook or Instagram in your space and just do a little bit of research as to what hashtags they are using, if they're using them. So this is brand new to Facebook. It might take a while before the average person on Facebook catches on if they're not a normal hashtag Instagram type user. So this might take a while before you can necessarily find, some people, but there will definitely be influencers on Instagram. Have a look what hashtags they are using. Take notice of that. What's the reason they might be using them? Maybe you should use the same ones. What's trending? Is it a time of year that some kind of hashtag is trending? Take advantage of hashtags that are trending. But you want to do a little bit of research with people in your industry doing the same thing you are. Go and stalk them. See if they're using hashtags and go and have a look at what kind of hashtags that they're using, what size they are. So I'm just encouraging you, instead of just whacking up some hashtags, which is what normally people do, just do a little bit of research as to what other people, other influencers in your field are doing, and maybe copy some that they are using, okay? You can also create ones for a specific purpose. So what I'm going to do moving forward for Facebook is I'm going to start one straight away, which is hashtag online crew. So use it now, guys. I'm going to use it on all my material, hashtag online crew. And let's have that as a searchable, hashtag for our content. For the video challenge, I'll create a different one than I have in the past just for the video challenge and continue that on. So if you've got a purpose, a group of people, a community, as a group of something, create your own hashtag on Facebook and continue that on. Like have some, just consistency basically is what I'm trying to say with a particular hashtag, and let that grow, organically over time. So you can create your own as well if it's relevant to you. Okay. I'm going to leave it there because I want to see if you've got any questions here, because I'm just looking at the time and I want to get into the coaching community and dive a little bit deeper. Okay, yes, you've seen that. You now get it. So that might have been below the fold that you're looking at. Yes, thank you. Yes, understand above, below. My sentences on Instagram are always hashtags. So you're writing with the hashtag in your sentence. Is that what you're saying, Gloria? Yes, this is great information. My daughter taught me Instagram. Great. Anyone in the younger generation, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, they're the ones to go to with all of this kind of stuff. The hashtags I use don't exceed 100,000. Okay, I'm interested in the smaller community. So that's a strategy that Gloria's using, and I encourage that. So that's a good thing, because it's, when people first get into hashtags, they think of the most common ones. But if those most common ones are in the multiple millions of posts in that hashtag, the chances of anything being discoverable of yours, if somebody goes and searches that hashtag, are probably next to none. So the smaller communities are good ones to go through, but that takes time to work out what kind of, so for those of you that are absolutely clueless, we're looking for, basically just think about it as keywords. That's all it is. It's keywords, intentional keywords that are related to what you want people. So if somebody was searching a keyword, that your content came up. So health and wellness, if you're in health and wellness, that's a really broad one, but that you get what I mean. Like if you're in the health and wellness industry, you've got a post about a banana. I don't know why I said banana, but a recipe or something like that. Then you might have, a hashtag that says health and wellness or health or something like that. But it's a really, really broad, big one. So you might want to niche down a little bit. Don't use the same hashtags every single time either. You do want to mix them up. You might have ones that you use constantly, but you don't want to have every single post with the same hashtag every single time. Okay, you do want to mix them up and test and evaluate different things. Okay. Beth, trying to understand, if I put a hashtag with my post, it goes into a pool of that particular hashtags. Yeah, so hold that thought, Beth. I'll show you how it works in the coaching community in a second. Would a hashtag on an ad bring the ad? Would a hashtag on an ad bring the ad to people who search for that tag? More likely it's going to be organic content that shows up before ad content, from my knowledge, Olive, but I really don't know because we don't generally use hashtags on ads. Hasn't been a big thing. So let's watch that space. It may be something that gets adopted moving forward. Not sure. Do we put 20 on the one post or spread over 5 posts? So 20 over 5 posts. So there's no right or wrong. You could have 20 on the one post. You could mix them up and have them on separate posts. So there's no real science or right and wrong to that, Faye. You could have 20. If you've done none in the past, I wouldn't say go from none to 20. So just try maybe 5 and then a different 5 and test that for a week. Check out your organic reach, increase it. But it's not really a matter of 20 on one or spreading out that 20 over 5. It doesn't really matter. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Yes, I'm following. It's all new to you. Do we make up hashtags that relate to our business? Yes. If we use other people's, doesn't that go to their post? No, it's a search thing. People looking for you and find related fields. So just think of it as it's just like a keyword. We're all in similar industries and we're all using similar keywords. So somebody that goes and searches it. So if I go back, where I showed you before, I went to Facebook and I put health and wellness in. But it just said explore. I didn't get any similar hashtags. I didn't get any numbers or anything, but you could see a post there. If I scroll down my news feed, there is a whole lot of posts from other people that have been tagged with health and wellness. So when people search it, people that have used that tag will come up, but it's not guaranteed. And the bigger the hashtag, like in the multiple millions, your post is going to get lost with everyone else's posts. So if you can niche down a little bit to the hashtags that you use that are very intentional to the industry that you are in or what you are trying to focus on, could be online marketing, digital marketing, social media tips, health and wellness, finance, jewelry, weight loss. Just think of keywords that represent the people that you are trying to attract and put a hashtag in front of it, basically. Okay, but go and do a little bit of research, and there are plenty of apps. I'll share one with you in a minute in the coaching community that you can just put in a word and it'll come up with multiple hashtags for you to choose from. So you can use that as well to find them. Okay. Yes, piggy bank off their accounts. So she's referring to the influencer one. I definitely got my homework to do regarding hashtags. Gary V uses between 15 and 20 hashtags per post. Yep, crazy. Hey, Suzanne, great to see you here. Would we create one with our name? You could do that as well. Because when you all get famous, because it's going to happen one day, isn't it, guys? You're all going to become massive online influencers. So one day I might want to just do hashtag Olive Dodd and all Olive's amazing, beautiful content that only Olive can create will come up. So don't be afraid. That's why I'm going to create one called Online Crew. And we might have one for online crew coaching, just in our coaching community, like, things like that. So you could have one. There are people obviously with names. So yes, you could do that. Clueless. It's all right, Faye, you'll get there. It's just a bit of trial and error. Okay, scroll down in hashtag options and focus on 8K to 25K. Lots of people like my posts on Instagram more. So there's some advice from Gloria. So thank you for your input there. So I'm well aware that I've talked for long enough here, and I do want to get into the coaching community and continue this discussion to be a bit more practical for you guys over there. So I'm going to leave it here on my business page and in my free group. I hope that just gives you some kind of strategy of the differences if you are aware of hashtags. And those of you that are clueless, just try with a couple. Just think intentionally, what keywords represent the person that I'm trying to attract in my industry, whether it's online marketing, digital marketing, health and wellness, finance, weight loss, jewelry, makeup, whatever it is for you, just try some out. But the thing is that you want to test and evaluate rather than just flying blind with putting them up there. Okay. Those of you in my coaching community, if you can join me, I'll jump over there in 1 minute. I'll jump straight in there and see you guys over there, or you can catch the replay for that, okay? So for the rest of you, I will see you same time here, same place tomorrow. Catch you then. Bye.